Hello everyone and welcome back to another inspiring story. Today's story is called The Price of a Dream. This is not only a great story for improving your English listening skills, but it is also a powerful lesson about hard work, patience, and determination. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. There was a young man named Ethan. He was 21 years old and lived in a small town surrounded by green hills and peaceful farms. Ethan came from a humble family. His father, Daniel, worked as a carpenter, and his mother, Emma, earned money by sewing clothes for people in the neighborhood. Although they worked hard every day, money was always tight. Some months they struggled to pay bills. Sometimes they had to postpone buying things they needed because there simply wasn't enough money. Ethan hated seeing his parents worry about finances. Every night he watched them work until they were exhausted. One evening, while sitting outside his small house and watching the sunset, Ethan whispered to himself, "One day, I will change our lives. One day my parents will never have to worry about money again." But deep inside, he wondered how that dream could ever become reality. The next morning, Ethan shared his thoughts with his father. Daniel listened carefully and then said, "Son, every dream has a price. Success never comes free. If you want something badly enough, you must be willing to work for it every single day." Those words stayed in Ethan's mind. A few days later, while walking through town, Ethan noticed something interesting. There was no coffee shop nearby. People traveling through town often complained that they had nowhere comfortable to sit, relax, and enjoy a good cup of coffee. An idea suddenly appeared in his mind. What if I start selling coffee? He thought. The idea seemed simple, but there was one problem. He had almost no money. Still, Ethan refused to give up. He decided to visit a local coffee supplier named Mr. Thompson. The man owned a small warehouse and supplied coffee beans to businesses in nearby cities. Ethan nervously entered the warehouse and introduced himself. "Mr. Thompson," he said, "I have an idea. I want to start selling coffee in my town, but I don't have enough money to buy supplies." The old man looked at him carefully. "And why should I help you?" he asked. Ethan took a deep breath. "Because I am willing to work harder than anyone else. Give me one chance. Let me take some coffee beans. I'll sell them and return your money within a week." Mr. Thompson remained silent for several seconds. Finally, he smiled. "You remind me of myself when I was young. Fine, I'll give you one chance." Ethan could hardly believe it. The very next day, he borrowed a small table, bought some paper cups, and began selling coffee near the town square. The first few hours were disappointing. People walked past without stopping. Some ignored him completely. Others said they weren't interested. By lunchtime, Ethan had sold only 3 cups. He felt discouraged. Maybe this wasn't going to work. Maybe everyone else was right. Maybe his dream was too big. But then he remembered his father's words. Every dream has a price. Instead of quitting, Ethan smiled and greeted every customer who passed by. Slowly, things began to change. One customer bought coffee, then another, then another. By the end of the day, he had sold everything. When Ethan counted his earnings that night, he realized he had made a small profit. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep going. The next week he sold even more, then even more the week after that. Soon, people started recognizing him. Many customers visited every morning before work. They enjoyed his friendly attitude and quality coffee. Months passed. Ethan woke up before sunrise every day. He prepared coffee, carried supplies, cleaned his equipment, and served customers until evening. It was exhausting work. Sometimes he felt tired, sometimes he felt frustrated, but he never stopped. After several months, he saved enough money to buy a small coffee cart. Now he could serve more customers and travel to different locations. His business started growing faster. One day, A customer named Sarah approached him. "Ethan," she said, "your coffee is amazing. Why don't you open a small cafe?" The idea excited him, but it also frightened him. Opening a cafe required money, knowledge, and experience. What if he failed? That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the possibility. Finally, he made a decision. If he wanted bigger results, he needed to take bigger risks. The next morning, he began studying everything he could about running a cafe. He borrowed books from the library. He watched educational videos. He spoke with business owners. Every day he learned something new, but learning wasn't easy. Many concepts confused him. Sometimes he made mistakes. Sometimes he felt overwhelmed. Yet he continued because he understood something important. Success doesn't come from talent alone. Success comes from learning, improving, and refusing to quit. After nearly a year of saving money and studying business, Ethan finally rented a small shop. It wasn't large. The paint was old. The furniture was simple. But to Ethan, it looked like a palace. He named it Dream Bean Cafe. On opening day, he felt both excited and nervous. What if nobody came? What if he lost everything? For the first hour, the cafe remained nearly empty. Ethan's heart sank. Then a familiar customer entered. It was Sarah. She smiled and ordered a coffee. A few minutes later, another customer arrived, then another, then another. By the end of the day, every table was occupied. Ethan couldn't stop smiling. His dream was finally becoming reality. For the next several months, business continued growing. Customers loved the welcoming atmosphere. They enjoyed the fresh coffee and friendly service. Ethan hired 2 employees to help him. For the first time in his life, he felt financially secure. But life had another lesson waiting for him. Across town, a brand new cafe opened. It was modern, stylish, and much larger than Dream Bean Cafe. Its owner was a young businessman named Ryan. Ryan invested a lot of money into advertising. Soon, many customers became curious. Some stopped visiting Ethan's cafe. Sales began falling, week after week. The situation became worse. Ethan felt worried. He had worked so hard to build his business. Now everything seemed at risk. One evening, he sat alone in the cafe after closing. The empty tables made him feel defeated. For a moment, he considered giving up. Maybe he wasn't good enough, maybe he could never compete, but then he remembered how his journey began. He remembered selling coffee from a small table, remembered the people who believed in him. Most importantly, he remembered why he started. He wanted to help his family. That purpose was stronger than fear. The next day, Ethan asked his customers for feedback. "What can I do better?" he asked. Many people appreciated his willingness to listen. Some suggested new menu items. Others recommended improving the interior design. Several customers asked for free Wi-Fi and comfortable seating. Instead of becoming defensive, Ethan listened carefully. Then he got to work. He used his savings to improve the cafe. He painted the walls. He added comfortable chairs. He expanded the menu. He introduced homemade desserts. He even created a small reading corner where customers could relax. Slowly, people started returning. Word spread throughout town. Customers appreciated that Ethan genuinely cared about them. Unlike larger businesses, he remembered people's names and treated them like family. His sales improved once again. Months later, Dream Bean Cafe became more popular than ever. Ethan thought the difficult days were behind him. Unfortunately, another challenge was waiting. One winter night, a powerful storm hit the town. Heavy rain and strong winds caused serious damage. When Ethan arrived at his cafe the next morning, he was shocked. Part of the roof had collapsed. Water had damaged furniture, equipment, and supplies. The repair costs were enormous. Standing inside the damaged cafe, Ethan felt helpless. Years of hard work seemed to be disappearing before his eyes. That evening, he sat quietly at home. His parents noticed his sadness. His mother gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Ethan," she said softly, "look how far you've come. Don't let one storm destroy your faith." Her words touched his heart. The next morning, Ethan returned to the cafe. Instead of focusing on the damage, he focused on solutions. He created a repair plan. He calculated expenses. He contacted suppliers. He searched for affordable materials. Most importantly, he kept moving forward. Soon, something incredible happened. The community stepped in to help. Customers organized fundraising events, friends volunteered their time. Local businesses donated materials. People from all over town offered support. Ethan was overwhelmed. With gratitude, he realized something powerful. When you spend years helping others, people want to help you too. For months, everyone worked together. Finally, the repairs were completed. When Dream Bean Cafe reopened, it looked better than ever. The grand reopening attracted hundreds of visitors. The mayor even attended the event. Standing before the crowd, the mayor said, "Ethan's story reminds us that success is not built overnight. It is built through persistence, courage, and hard work." The crowd applauded. Then Ethan stepped forward. He looked at his family, his friends, and his loyal customers. For a moment, he struggled to find words. Finally, he spoke. "When I started this journey, I had almost nothing. No money, no experience, no guarantees. All I had was a dream." The crowd listened carefully. There were many times when I wanted to quit. Many times when failure seemed certain, but every challenge taught me something valuable. He paused, then continued. "I learned that success has a price. It requires sacrifice. It requires patience. It requires hard work. Most importantly, it requires believing in yourself even when nobody else does." The crowd cheered loudly. Tears filled his mother's eyes. His father smiled proudly. At that moment, Ethan realized he had achieved something greater than financial success. He had earned respect, he had inspired others, and he had proven that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things when they refuse to give up. Years later, Dream Bean Cafe expanded into several locations. Ethan eventually built the successful business he once dreamed about, but he never forgot where he came from. He continued, helping young entrepreneurs who needed guidance. He often shared the same advice his father once gave him. Every dream has a price, and that brings us to the lessons of today's story. Lesson number 1. Dreams do not become reality by themselves. They require action. Lesson number 2. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Lesson number 3. The willingness to learn is one of the greatest advantages anyone can have. Lesson number 4. When life becomes difficult, do not quit. Difficult moments often come right before breakthrough moments. Lesson number 5. Success means more when you use it to help others. Ethan's story proves that your background does not determine your future. Your circumstances do not define your limits. Your determination does. So whatever dream lives inside your heart, keep moving forward. Work hard. Stay patient. Believe in yourself. Because the price of a dream may be high, but the reward is worth every step of the journey. The end.